Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Sunday morning. Taking a look at the next week's slate, and we have a really intriguing matchup. The Oklahoma Sooners heading on the road to play the Kansas Jayhawks. And I'll start with this. This is not your old Kansas team. This is a really explosive offense that's getting better on defense. I'm really excited to get into this matchup, Dill. When I have bad days, I just turn on a little Kansas offense. It makes my day better. Like, this Kansas offense is so fun to watch. Really excited to see how the Sooners go up against it, because this defense has played their tails off, especially in that first quarter against UCF. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. These game breakdowns are always such a blast for us. The best part about doing it, talking with y'all in the comment section. We learn a lot from you guys. Love talking ball with y'all. So if you do enjoy the content, one, consider subscribing to the channel. Two, let us know in the comment section how you guys are feeling. Dill, Kansas or Oklahoma heading on the road to Kansas. How are we feeling here? I'll give you the T-box.
I think what you're excited about for Oklahoma is to see how you kind of bounce back, I think, a little bit on defense against, because frankly, for like 90% of that game against UCF, they played really well. But the things UCF did to beat them and some of the misdirection and getting like just a creative offensive attack that like starts with the run game, but then can leak out and hit you with some explosive passes. That's kind of what Kansas wants to do. So that's, I think, what you're looking for as an Oklahoma fan is how do you like kind of make the adjustments you need to make to shut this attack down? Because again, 90% of that game, Oklahoma was dominant, especially in that defensive line. But they do, as Venables said, they got to play more discipline and they got to clean some of those things up. That if they're going to be an elite defense, it can't happen.
That's I totally agree with this. Like, this UCF, when we previewed this UCF Oklahoma game about 7 days ago, I'm about to repeat very similar things. This is a Kansas team like UCF, runs the ball almost 60% of the time, 15th most in the country, and they're damn good at doing it. 5.5 yards per carry. That's top 15 in the country. Devin Neal, I think, is probably the best running back in the Big 12, averaging 7.5 yards per carry. Highshaw also can get it done. They have a really mobile quarterback, whether it's Daniels, whether it's Jason Bean. They want to run the football, but similar to UCF, when they want to go throw, they hit the explosive plays. This is a team that averages 9.3 yards per pass attempt. That's 11th in the country. They got some playmakers in that wide receiver room. For me, this UCF or Kansas offense replicates a lot of what UCF's offense does well, and I cannot wait to see what Oklahoma does on defense. And again, they didn't play bad, Oklahoma yesterday against UCF, but really excited to see some of the adjustments this Sooners defense has for a very similar offense in the Kansas Jayhawks.
And obviously, the one point I think Oklahoma's have a massive advantage, just like they kind of did against UCF, is up front, and especially in the middle. Man, these defensive tackles for what Oklahoma's doing.
Isaiah Coe,
Dejon Terry. I didn't necessarily think he was going to factor in as much as he is, but playing really dominant football. Just a group that I think is taking their level way up. And again, a sore spot for Oklahoma last year. Just like, why isn't this defense more physical? Why aren't they tougher? This defensive line, especially, and then those linebackers, they've really kind of transformed the culture, and it is a big, heavy, physical defense.
Brent Venables has done a masterful job revamping that defense line. And you knew he saw it as a weakness, right? Because he goes on the transfer portal and grabs a ton of bodies and is paying off in a massive way. You look at this Oklahoma defense, 16.1 points per game, top 10 in the country. What I'm looking at the most, though, and you talk about keys to the game for Kansas and Oklahoma. One, Kansas, you want to run the football. That means you got to stay on schedule. What Oklahoma can do here, Oklahoma is number one in the country in tackles for loss, creating 9.3 tackles for loss per game. You talk about the biggest matchup. I have two kind of matchups that I want to talk about. One, can Oklahoma create those negative plays, force Kansas into some more of those obvious passing situations? And then two, like, not giving up the big play, because when you talk about what Kansas wants to do, they want to run the football, and then they want to go play action, confuse your safeties, and hit the deep shot. Oklahoma gave up a few against UCF, looking for them to kind of clean some of that stuff up.
Yeah, and that to me will be a lot on the linebacker play a little bit. And Danny Smithman, he's the guy. He's probably been one of the best linebackers in the country.
The best linebacker in college football in my mind.
100% fair to say that. He's right up there with anyone. But Jaron Kanak, I think he's like almost epitomizes what you're looking for from this Oklahoma defense in terms of like a bounce back to an extent, but just avoiding the mistakes. I thought there were a couple moments where, again, with all that like speed on the field, all the misdirection, all the like eye candy, if you will, there did feel like a couple of moments where the linebackers, especially Kanak, did get caught out a little bit and gave up some huge plays. And again, you watch Canick's game for the most part, awesome game. I mean, flying upfield, playing the Venables style, coming downhill and thumping guys and getting TFLs and doing his thing. But again, if Jaren Canick's going to develop into like that next Danny Stutzmer, that next Oklahoma great linebacker, I think you just want to see him cut down on some of the mistakes and play a little better in space in general, maybe.
That's the balance that you talk about this Oklahoma defense. Like Brent Venables, you want to play aggressive, create the negative plays. They're doing that, right? That being said, can you balance it out and not give the explosive plays? When you can find that balance of we're playing aggressive, we're trying to smother offenses, but also not giving up those big plays, that's when this Sooners defense is at their best, like in the first quarter. And then in the second and third, it kind of got away from them a little bit. Flipping sides, though, looking at this Kansas defense, it's gotten way better. And I give Coach Leipold like so much credit for coming in, having an offense that schemed up beautifully. And on the defense side of the ball, they just needed a little bit more talent. And it's a better defense than they had last year, but it's still not great, averaging 29 points per game, giving up 91st in the country. This is where I'm looking at. I mean, this is a defense that struggles to stop the run, 4.9 yards per carry to opposing backs outside of the top 100. They got some players. Like, they got some good linebackers. Austin Booker up front, I think, is really good. Though, if I'm OU, they struggled to run the ball for the first 3 quarters against the UCF defense I thought they'd be able to run the football against. Got Tobby Walker back from the in-house suspension, looking for that offensive line in that running game to kind of establish itself here.
And you can just see how reliant it is, I think, to an extent on what they do. If they can run the football fairly effectively,
Agreed.
This offense just goes better because you look at how they want to throw it. A lot of it comes off of an RPO play action kind of look. They like to attack the middle of the field. And when they're not running the football very well, you just notice like they're not as good on the outside. You need to be able to hit it through the middle. And that's a big part of what Jeff Levy's always wanted to do. And I think you just notice, especially for the first, like at the times they weren't running the ball. And at times they were running the ball really effectively and the offense was cooking. But that like middle of the game, it felt like they just couldn't get anything going.
That's in my notes, because I turned to you when we were watching that game and said it seems like Oklahoma's not attacking the middle of the field at all, especially in that deeper third. You look at Dylan Gabriel, 25 of 38, 253, 3 touchdowns a pick, like pretty solid day. My biggest concern is they were 1 of 3 attacking the middle of the field 10 plus yards down the field. And that's that. You said it best. Like, that's their offense. They want to establish the run, suck in those safeties and backers, work that RPO, attack that middle of the field. They just did not do a very good job. Only completed 1 pass for 20 plus yards down the field through the air. So it's like this Oklahoma team, you want to, what is Jeff Lebby kind of, I guess what makes his offense so special is he makes you cover every blade of grass on that field. He's going to spread you out and make you play in space. I didn't feel like that Oklahoma offense yesterday really made UCF's defense defend the whole entire field. It seemed like it was a lot of swing passes, a lot of stuff inside that 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Looking for them to, 1, get that run game going, and then 2, let's go attack and make that defense cover some space, because that's where this Oklahoma offense is by far at their best.
I mean, broadly speaking, and this might be a little more of an opinion on like Oklahoma as a whole, but like there have been too many moments, I think, where their offense has kind of gotten out of itself a little bit.
Agreed.
And it takes them too long to kind of get it back rolling. And I think part of that is like, you look, Jaleel Farouk didn't touch the ball enough. I think they were trying to get him the football. Like they were trying to, I don't want to say force it, but they were obviously trying to get the football to him. That almost feels like they got to find some way to do it, though. I mean, 3 catches for 20 yards is just not enough balls. And that is like, just again, you watching Oklahoma, I think they need to be able to do a better job of getting themselves out of a rut and probably
get it to your playmakers, right? We say this all the time for college football, especially the college level. Not that complicated. Like, get your playmakers involved in space, especially a guy like Jaleel Farouk, especially 4 times there. Andrel Anthony going down. Like, Jaleel Farouk is that guy, and you look at Oklahoma in the offenses that have been really successful. They have guys, like whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Marvin Mims, they had that playmaker. I think Farouk is that guy. I would like to see them get the football more. Jaquez Petaway, I would like to see involved a little bit more as well. But I think personally, and you noted it, like Oklahoma on offense, when they sputter, it puts their defense in bad spots, because when they go 3 and out in 45 seconds because they want to run with that pace, the defense played really, really well, and the offense just didn't really pick them up. A lot of 3 and outs early, and I think UCF was able to find some more rhythm on offense, running the football, picking up some first downs and staying on schedule and staying on the field for Oklahoma when you want to run.
Starts with being able to run the football at the end of the day. And then that's, if they can run the ball, this offense is really, really dangerous. And when it sputters, I think there might be an argument for using Dylan Gabriel a little more, frankly, in the run game. And I think against Texas, you really saw him start to rip off a few big ones in being more involved with this. I think we make a similar case for like maybe Jordan Travis at Florida State. But sometimes when your quarterback is that type of athlete and they're, again, your offense is stalling, I do think there could be a, like, maybe use him a little more, maybe get him more involved in the football game, because he has been a very good runner for Oklahoma.
That is, when he's playing his best ball, like he is using his athleticism a little bit. They'll get into the pick here. Oklahoma heading on the road. That's a hard, by the way, hard place to play in Kansas, especially with the vibes around this Kansas Jayhawks team. Like, it's a hard place to play. Oklahoma, 10.5-point favorites on most things I saw. I'll get you the pick first, Dale. Who you rocking with here?
I think Oklahoma bounces back. I think that's like the type of game where teams, in my opinion, fans like to jump on these good teams. Like, oh, you see them play a bad team tight. You saw it with Washington. You've seen it with a bunch of good teams in the past, like coming off that huge Texas win. I know there was a bye in between, but you let down a little bit. But good teams win those games when they're not playing their A football. They still got these games out.
Just ask North Carolina. Hard to win. It's hard to consistently win college football games. And Dylan, what a great point I think Brent Venables made in his presser yesterday. This is a team that last year's team probably loses that football game. Not playing their best football, coming down to the stretch, got to make some plays in big moments. That's probably one of those games where they were the better team and lose last year. Being able to find a way to win that game when you're playing not even your B football, like C- football, I think speaks to this Oklahoma team. I think you also see a bounce back, and I like the matchup here. I think Oklahoma can create some negative plays, keep Kansas kind of a little bit off schedule on defense, and I really would like to see them run the football. And if they do, I think Oklahoma can win this one, cover the number. 10.5. Give me the Sooners. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.